If you allow me, I would like to say hello to Mr. Sriskandarajah from Sri Lanka, to Zeynep Pamuk and Bahar Gürey and all the participants from far away. Dear participants and our guests who are connected to the session from quite a distance, I would like to welcome you. We would like to thank you for attending this session, surely, and listening to us. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Professor Dr. Kerim Gündoğdu. I'm a faculty member of Educational Sciences Department in Aydın Adnan Menderes University, Faculty of Education. In this session, which will be held between 12 and 13 p.m., three very valuable papers will be presented by some participants who will introduce themselves very shortly. The first paper was prepared by Bahar Gürey and Zeynep Pamuk with the title of A Way of Dealing with Hard Times, Artistic Reflection. The second paper is Learning Experientially, Problem-Oriented Project Work by Groups piloted at the University of Jaffna, presented by Sri Lankan researcher Nadarajah Sriskandarajah, if I'm not wrong.
That's fine. That's
It's fine? Okay,
yes.
okay. I worked hard.
Yeah, I can say that.
Thank you. The third and final paper will be presented by Sabina Pstrocki Sehovic. The title of her paper is New Challenges and Experiential Learning of Language and Arts. Each participant will have 15 minutes, as you all know, present the paper. At the end of presenting each paper, a 5 minutes question and answer session will be held in order to enlighten the audience if needed. As the technical person said that during the sessions, cameras and microphones of all participants, excluding the panelists, will be turned off. We will be on, don't worry. Later in the session, questions submitted by the participants via question and answer button will be asked the panelists by me, or panelists can answer directly just by checking the platform through chat section at the bottom of the screen, as you know. First of all, I kindly ask the participants to introduce themselves in just 30 seconds, if you don't mind. City, country, and which institutions you are coming from. Now I give the first word to Bahar Gürey, who will present the first paper. Please go ahead.
Hello everyone, I am Bahar Gürey from Istanbul. I am in Ankara University, and my institute is Geodramatik Turkey. Thank you. Zeynep?
Thank you. Zeynep Hanım?
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot. I'm Zeynep Pamuk from Ankara, and I'm working at Yıldırım Beyazıt University as an English instructor. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Sriskandarajah.
Hello, my name is Sriskandarajah.
From Sri Lanka.
Most people call me Sri, which is short.
Okay.
I'm joining you from London, which is where I live these days.
Oh.
Yes, I'm a Sri Lankan who has lived in a few other countries, and I recently retired from the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences as a professor in environmental economy.
Oh, how nice. Thank you. Nice to meet you and nice to know you. Yes, first paper was about a way of dealing with hard times, artistic reflection. Who will be presenting this paper?
Me and Bahar.
Okay, thank you. We are hearing. We are following you.
Yeah. Hocam, may I share my screen now?
Surely.
Thanks a lot. Okay.
Okay.
How colorful.
Thanks a lot. Oh yeah, sorry. Not yet.
Okay, hello again everyone. Warm welcome. It's an honor to be here with you. Our topic is a way of dealing with hard times. Reflection. I am Bahar Gürey, and this is
Zeynep Pamuk.
Okay. As we have limited time, Zeynep will go on talking. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Bahar'cığım. We have just briefly mentioned who we are, so let's proceed with our dear presentation, and I just hope that you'll enjoy it. Actually, I just wish it would be an interactive session together with you guys, because we just prepared some visuals, as you see here, and we just wanted to ask you what do these photos, visuals remind you of? Perhaps Kerim Hocam, you may give us an answer. Or I might just directly say you. This is a reminder of pandemic, right? We've been going through for the last couple of months, we can say. So, as you see, this motto has become a kind of our life message for the recent past couple of months, right? Stay at home, be safe. Everybody just told us to do so. But of course, it might seem very simple, but for some, it was not at all, because our minds didn't stop thinking and worrying. So different kind of emotions and thoughts just raised in people's minds and hearts. Like they thought, when will it end? And I'm lonely, some of the people groaned. And some said, I'm really scared. And some said, am I gonna lose my job? So they had some very realistic kind of worries about their lives. Some even thought about, is it already an apocalypse, for instance, they said. And what if I caught the virus, some thought. And what if I make someone ill? So these were just some few samples from all the anxieties and fears we have been going through. And together with Bahar, by the way, this is Mabel and Pumukul. Perhaps you guys are familiar with them. Mabel is representing me and Pumukul is representing Bahar. So Zeynep and Bahar taught about being a kind of a lighthouse for people's life and for our own lives as well. We just started thinking about a way for us to deal with those challenging feelings, those challenging moments in pandemic. And we just wanted to reach people and touch their heart and their life somehow to help them deal with those hard times. And we deeply believe in this statement by Emerson. This was kind of our starting point in our project. He says the man is only half, the other half is expression. So as humans, we have this very deep urge, very deep need to express ourselves. And we chose art to be our key to communicate with people. So we initiated a project, and we had 30 participants, but they were on and off, I might say, but I can clearly say that we had 12 regular participants, and they were majorly creative drama teachers. We had one primary school teacher, we had a couple of students in our group, and we had an English teacher. And ages in our group varied between 22 to 53, so it was a big variety, I might say. There was only one man in our group, but unfortunately he participated our workshop, this artful project, artistic reflection project, only once. Perhaps this can be another thought or question for us to ask ourselves. And we would meet only once a week for 3 hours. Mondays were our meeting day, and each time we arranged the meeting from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. with our group. And what did we do, of course, in our group? Actually, we decided, as I told you, we decided to use art as our medium, as our approach to our participants. But here we use various art forms, different aspects of art. For instance, we use painting, sculpturing, creative writing, poetry writing, jeu dramatique we use, or meditation, yoga nidra we use, or dancing we use. And sometimes Bahar, since she's capable of playing several instruments, she made some music for us. So these were all our different aspects or mediums to approach to our participants. And here, let me state a quotation by Wilkinson and Chilton. They state, art therapy helps people experience increased well-being through a number of creative pathways that uniquely eliminate purpose and meaning and increase positive emotions and engagement. We got really affected by this explanation because, as I told you before, our initial aim was to increase our own well-being while helping other people to feel themselves better and more safe and sound in this pandemic period. And of course, we decided to use creative pathways, different aspects of life. And we asked people to put purpose and meaning in whatever we were doing, and we just did the same. We put our hearts in it, we put our thoughts in it, and we made a very purposeful, meaningful soup all together with our participants. And in the end, we end up with very, very positive emotions and engagement of everyone. Let me tell you flow of a sample workshop we led together with Bahar. The title is Making a Collective Pandemic Voice Recorder. So what we did in that particular workshop, let me read, go through, walk you through all the phases we experienced. First, participants collected sentences, words, and sounds for a week, for the entire week, that they hear often or that they got attracted to from different resources. Different resources may include friends, family members, TV, social media, even some regular sounds from their sound, like vacuum cleaner's voice, for instance. So they were free to collect any sound, any way of expression that they were exposed to. As the second phase, they recorded all these sentences, words, sounds, and shared them with the workshop leader. Bahar was leading that procedure, by the way. Third step, on the day of the workshop leader assigned a specific feeling to each participant, such as, okay, you are angry, you're stressful, you're peaceful, jealous, etc. Later, everybody read her words, sounds, and sentences aloud with that specific feeling. Later, the workshop leader assigned, it's kind of the same, so we can skip to the fifth stage. Although the participants listened to each other carefully, one by one, and they are asked to write down the expressions that they were mostly affected to and attracted to. So participants listen to each other, and once they hear a statement, an expression, or a sound that they feel really attracted to, they just jotted it down. As the next step, everybody read the expressions they had collected from the others aloud this time, but they used their neutral tone, neutral voice. And as the next step, the participants were asked to choose only one expression that didn't belong to themselves originally, that they collected from a fellow participant, and this time read it aloud with the feeling they chose themselves. So if they wanted to read it in a jealous manner, they did it so, in an aggressive manner, or in a very peaceful or a happy manner. So that was totally their own decision. And after the bell rang, by Bahar again, each and every participant read their expression in the way they wanted, one by one, and a collective pandemic voice recorder was created eventually after the course of 3 hours. So it was like the inner voice of our minds collectively for the last week. Would you like to watch a sample, like the outcome, the video of this workshop? I can hear that you say yes. So let me start the video. You may just enjoy it.
Uyanış başladı. Karantina değil, koza. Ben bir dinozorum. Karantina değil, koza. Dans etsene o zaman. Hayatımın gecelerinden biriydi. İyi ki aradın beni. Çok teşekkür ederim sana. Gemiler çevrelerinde su olduğu için batmaz, su aldıkları için batar. Masal! Çadır kuralım mı? Çocuk olmak demek, hafif olmak demek.
this was the last creative recording part that I've mentioned earlier. This was just the flow of one specific workshop we did together. And after the whole procedure, after almost 2.5 months, 3 months of working together, we just asked our participants to fill out a survey and to see how were they affected from the whole procedure. And our first question was, how would you define the artistic reflection workshops in 3 words? We have color-coded all the words they have written so far. And if you check out the red ones, you will see that our initial aim before the project was exactly that. So it was peace, it was kind of detox of feelings, productivity, awareness, expressing ourselves, relaxation, inspirational. We wanted to be very inspirational and enjoyable too. So these were our initial aims. But if you look at the blue-coded words, you will see that these were out of our aim, but we were very affected, very touched once we saw all this feedback from people, because they said it was kind of returning to the essence, and it was very highly confrontational, they said. And it enabled us discover on myself, they said. They said we experienced lightness, support, it was supportive, and it felt safe, it felt home, and it was kind of a healer. So we were really highly affected by all these expressions they use themselves. The second question was, how did the artistic reflection workshops make you feel? Of course, the workshops were all in Turkish, so we held this survey in Turkish too, but just next to the items, you will see that we have translated them. Let me give you 1 minute of silence for you to very briefly have a look at that chart. So the 2 feelings they told us, that enjoyable and light, 64% of our participants said so. Out of 25 responses, by the way, out of 25 answers. I think you have had the chance to have a close look at the chart. What was the next question? How did the artistic reflection workshops affect your life? And we use a Likert scale, as you see over here, 1 indicating not at all and 5 indicating it made significant changes. But as you see, 56% of people said, okay, it made not significant changes, but it gave us a shake kind of in life. So that was the response we got. And the next question was, please fill out this sentence, fill out this gap. The artistic reflection workshops changed ... So what did they change? And we offered them several options. The first one was my family relations. 8% said so. My perspective on myself. 92% of people said so. My perspective on the pandemic. 44% of said so. My friend relations, 4 people, in other words, said so. Then my private life relations, 24 people said so. My business relations, only 1 person. And 1 person said it didn't change anything, which is quite normal and okay too. And we also left an option for other changes that artistic reflection workshops made on you. And 1 person said, my anxieties and worries about the future of my country. So the artistic reflection workshops changed my perspective over this. And the other question, it was an open-ended question actually. Were there any challenging moments for you in the course of the workshop, we asked. And some people said that expressing myself was not easy at all. And another person said, I was very far from my own essence, from my own self. And I just realized it. And this fact made me feel kind of challenged from time to time. But then I couldn't know her. I couldn't know myself. But then I hugged her with my heart. And that was such a precious moment for me, one of the participants said. And confrontation, another person said, was quite challenging for me. The next question was, would you recommend this workshop to a friend? If your answer is yes, please explain why in 2 to 3 sentences. I can proudly say that 23 out of 25 people said yes, definitely. And here are the couple of reasons. One participant said, you're at the right spot if you wanted to be listened wholeheartedly without being judged. So that was kind of the atmosphere we were trying to create together with Bahar. So we were very proud and happy to see such a feedback. If you don't need them, then still join it for the sake of fun and joy, because I can simply say that we had great fun and joy together. And another person said, get ready for a perfect journey to yourself. It's a journey to yourself, she said. Another participant said, you will have lots of questions on your mind, but you will learn lots of new approaches to deal with them too. And another participant said, it is such a great platform of sharing and realizing we are not alone. Again, it was our initial aim to help people to realize that they are never alone. And the feeling of being supported and well supported. This was one of our initial aims. And another participant said, yes, it provides you a new window to see yourself from a window of love and compassion. It makes me feel a little bit emotional. Now, my dear friend Bahar has a very, very short performance for you to enjoy. And this is the end of our presentation. I hope I didn't exceed the time limit. Bahar'cığım.
No, just 3 minutes.
Okay, great hocam. Yes, Bahar'cığım, the stage is yours tatlım.
Bahar Hanım. Ms. Gürey.
It's not quarantine. It's my cocoon.
Thanks a lot. It was a great pleasure for us to be here. And for any further information and questions, feel free to contact me or Bahar. You may find our emails right here. And we're more than pleased to hear your questions if there are any. Thanks a lot Kerim hocam. Buyurun lütfen.
Thank you.
Thanks
you
a
so
lot
much.
too.
I mean, it's really, there's a term, you know, difficult times require easy solutions. This study is one of the studies that make this real. And it's a 10-week online program which was designed by you. And painting, dance, role plays, drama, I mean, which requires creativity and sharing. The participants also have really great, I mean, feelings, and positive and creative solutions were made by the at the end of the activity. Is there any question, or is there any feeling, or is there any point which will be made by participants to Zeynep Pamuk and Bahar Gürey? You may write through chatting, or if you have microphones, you may ask directly. I think there is no. Thank you. Yes, we have one. No? No. Thank you. It has been figured out that a medium where people can express themselves freely through art and use their positive power to create in difficult times, as you said, such as a pandemic, is a very important factor. And opportunity for protecting their mental, spiritual, and physical health, as you have summarized. Thank you so much for your
Thanks a lot,
work.
hocam.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, your turn, Dr. Sriskandarajah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm also going to share my screen, if that's okay.
Thank you.
And my connection is not all that strong. So if you don't hear me that well, then
Did you share?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, my presentation is obviously not as colorful as I try. This is the chosen title for my work. It's about a project funded by a Swedish educational program for Swedish teachers and university teachers in Sri Lanka to have teacher exchange. And so I was with my Swedish colleague, Patrick Oskarsson. We were the two exchange teachers. We taught this course in Sri Lanka. And according to the program, when the pandemic allows us, our two colleagues named here, Dr. Surya Kumar and Dr. Sudhakar, will visit Sweden and take part in Sweden. So this is a reflection on that experience of the first half of our teacher exchange in environmental education using a strongly experiential base. We taught a single course as an undergraduate course for a limited period as a pilot. It was 1 week long, full-time and intensive. We had 41 fourth-year undergraduates from two programs, a program in agricultural economics and a program in geography, making up the 41 students. And the program was supported by what's here described as the Linnaeus Palme Teacher Exchange Program. This is a very popular program for tertiary education for Swedish institutions to work with partners in low and middle income countries. The Linnaeus and the Palme are the two halves. So in this case, the Linnaeus University is my university in Sweden, and Palme University is the one that received us, which is the University of Jaffna in northern Sri Lanka. We chose governance of natural resources as the overarching theme for the course, where governance is understood here in terms of nature and natural resource management as something which is as much about managing people as it is about managing nature. So governance is a popular concept in environment and nature management, which has been in discourse for about 15, 20 years now. But it's new to so many countries and communities where management is seen as a rule-bound program of action to manage resources in efficient ways and does not necessarily take into account the public, the citizens, the people, the different actors. So our attempt was to use this course to expose our learners to environmental dilemmas in their own context in Sri Lanka, and then to introduce them to the idea of managing via governance. This is one of the simplified models to show what governance implies here about conservation and nature management. Mean that it's community-centered, it's based on rights, it respects customary institutions, it enables collaborative networks, it promotes gender and ethnic and other equities and recognize those differences. And it also, in the ideal sense, achieve to redress and reconciliation when there are conflicts and claims. Our course was structured as having these following elements: a course introduction, which was a half a day on the main campus, a full day of field experience where we visited through a whole day 7 significant hotspots or sites where there were environmental dilemmas or problems or crises. And then we lived together in a residential context on a off-campus location in a rural area for 4 days and conducted a running workshop where the students then processed some of the issues and questions they identified during the field study using a method called problem-oriented project work, which I will explain in a minute. The experiential elements of this course then have been the opening session where the students intermingled, got to know each other, understood their own knowledge in these areas and where they wanted to learn in relation to governance. We introduced them to the the learning cycle and the essence of experiential learning theory, and then a 10-hour-long excursion across the province, an interactive workshop for 2 days, living together and sorting out these in a collaborative group format, working in teams and working across ethnic and other cultural differences in the past. The excursion itself took us through these 7 locations, looking at groundwater over-extraction leading to shortage of water, reclaiming a lagoon to make it freshwater, the situation of prawn fishers, sand mining in coastal sand dunes, a situation in relation to a migratory bird reserve through urbanization and waste disposal is becoming not in a satisfactory condition, and the new arrival of a large-scale wind farm. So these were just glimpses of critical hotspots in their own neighborhood, in their own district, which they came face to face and spoke to some of the people in those situations. So here are some images of a very old well, which was a public access for fresh water, for irrigation, for farming, and for drinking, which is in the last decade or so have become unusable and saline. This is a lagoon which is in the process of being dammed in the long-term ambition of the water behind the barrage over time turning into fresh water, which is an engineering approach. The remnants of aggressive sand mining that has gone on in recent times. This is an area which has seen 30 years of civil war and just come out of that situation. So it's an urgency to rebuild, reconstruct, extract natural resources for that rapid growth phase. Now I'm touching on the problem-oriented project work model, which is derived from some experiences in Denmark or universities that adopt this approach to classroom learning, where students work with an understanding of separating the learning process from the products of their learning exercises, and starting with an idea phase from which they initiate and identify a problem and then formulate the problem in a manageable way and then process the problem in groups and then conclude the exercise by writing a project report, and in the end back again by writing a reflective postscript about their own learning. I'll skip that one and I'll go to some of the concepts that were introduced in the classroom and during the workshop, in relation to natural resources and resource management. Concept is the social political concept of governance, environmental issues, learning theory, groups and group dynamics, interdisciplinary thinking, and problem-oriented project. These are some of the tools that were introduced to them in order to process this problem in group contexts, leading to learn to actively listen to different. I'm giving a few slides from a student's final presentation at the end of the course. Here the example being reducing over-extraction of groundwater in the Jaffna district. This is the class, the group that dealt with this project, presenting themselves, in which recent possibilities to use tube wells to extract the water. They recognize, formulate the problem into a problem statement. They develop what's called a problem treatise of this particular specified problem. Then they did some self-evaluation of how it was for them to work through this problem over this period of 4 days. They worked as a participating group, the field experience. They came with a narrow view on some of the societal issues, and this was a challenge. They understood responsibility when it comes to managing the commons. They understood the possibilities of doing reasonable undergraduate thesis work on environment, satisfaction, happiness, and involvement. We did a formal evaluation of course, which I'm not going into, other than to say that on a 1 to 5 scale, they were rather satisfied with what they accomplished in relation to how the course was organized, how it was offered, what the content was, and how it's related to their own learning situation. We feel that we've conducted a successful pilot. We have a satisfied group of students. The partners want to commit themselves to develop this further. We want to include student exchange, which is a possibility, which is going beyond teacher exchange. We want to address a rather male-dominant exchange program and address that question and include progress just before the pandemic hit. But now we have applied for a 2-year extension, and we've got the funds, so we will continue with this over the coming 2 years. Now I'm relating to some of the reflections of my own as an experiential educator, drawing from the work of my colleague, Professor Borden. Transforming experiences into meaning is the basis for designing and enacting socially desirable, culturally feasible, and ethically defensible improvements, which is what leading to our praxis. Very early on in my work in Australia at this time, in the 80s and 90s, we formulated the notion of praxis as an emergent property of linking theory and practice as an interplay between these two aspects, where theory informs the practice and practice refines the theory. This is where provided us a very sound platform through which we could interpret learning as the flux between, on the one hand, finding out, and on the other hand, taking action, and in a neat way to then generate a theoretical propositional knowledge, but equally also knowledge through practice to what I here call practice. So to conclude, the governance approach then is not simply about understanding natural phenomena through ecological or biological lens, or neither is it just bringing the social actors together, and how we have contributed to our own environment being modified. Therefore, we need to develop new understandings of relationships between people and their natural environments in a systemic way rather than simply through an ecological understanding of nature and how nature works. Quoting Ulrich Beck and his work on risk society, here I say that those relationships, the human nature relationships, cannot be deciphered just according to the calculus of whenever we come across a crisis or a hazard, or in the current moment of pandemic. But we must interpret it through inner and personal experience of our social ways of life, which is more or less what our two previous colleagues have attempted. Well, so experiential learning as conceptualized by David Kolb was foundational for me and my Australian colleagues, and in my subsequent work in European universities as educators, researchers, and change agents last 3 decades, to help our students and many others to interpret and comprehend nature, society, relationships, which is looking at our face at the moment in serious and critical ways. Therefore, I pay tribute to David Kolb and his contribution to experiential learning through his work all those years ago. And I present a little image from our meeting not so long ago in the US. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sriskandarajah. This paper, prepared by Nadarajah Sriskandarajah, Patrick Oscarson, Krishna Pillai, Soraya Kumar, and Karuna Karansutakar. The paper described a pilot short course designed along experiential learning principles, built with problem-oriented project work in groups as the core, and offered at the University of Jaffna in March 2020. He presented a real-life study, which was a great work, as I'm thinking, with the student-centered methods and solutions from theory to practice, deriving from Danish experiences, which will teach us, a great amount in the future, as I guess. And it's a great study because it was a problem-oriented project pedagogy, and a cohort of 41 fourth-year undergraduate students from 2 disciplines, geography and agricultural economics, worked in 8 cross-cutting groups. And at the end, the paper evaluated the experiential elements, learning outcomes, move from pilot to regular offering, and the challenges of linking social and natural sciences through a governance approach to natural resources management. Thank you very much for this great research, and thank you sharing with us. Thank you. Is there any questions as I have opened the way through all attendees and panelists? Please just write or just you can speak and share your ideas with us. Is there any? We have 16 attendees and 4 panelists. Thank you so much, Dr. Sriskandarajah. Thank you so much for this great paper with sharing us. And last paper is about the new challenges and experiential learning of language and arts. Will be presented by Sabina Pstrocki Sehovic. But she is not there, as I guess. Are you here, Dr. Seho? Are you here? No, I guess she's not here.
Actually,
She's not there.
Actually, she's here. We talk, but I think there is a technical problem or something. Maybe we can continue and can we? I will text her.
Is she going to participate?
Yes, she's here, but I think there's a
Okay.
problem with.
There's a technical problem. I see.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. If you don't mind, I would like to introduce her paper just a little, you know, pirate paper as a pirate participant. As I said, the title of this paper, New Challenges and Experiential Learning of Language and Arts. The paper deals with relatively new and experiential, virtual and paper-based methods in learning arts and languages, but in an organized and academic way, as well as preparation, launching, and exploring these materials and methods through experiential learning, encouraged through direct access to digital libraries and use exploration of their materials that coincide with the proposed lessons and curricula. It's about 5 alternative methods, their advantages and practical implementation in virtual and classical classes and schools. It's based on up-to-date experiences and new testing methods that may be rising in the contemporary education and with new challenges, virtual classrooms, and adopted to new needs and education policies. Sabina Pstrocki Sehovic intends to give samples of use for shorter and longer period and classes from 30 to 45 minutes to 3 hours. Also with anticipated outcomes and possible developments in classrooms and with actual pupils or students, and to define new time challenges in education of arts and languages. The last point are assessment methods, their improvement, flexible and possible frequencies and exactness with which can they be seen as the most accountable of the actual reacquired knowledge for languages and arts. History of arts, music, painting, etc. The methods are applicable for both public schools and private smaller schools or colonies, as well as for adult learners and mixed groups and enterprise workers. Therefore, she tries to move on new methods, language and arts, virtual classrooms, and challenging materials in virtual and paper tools, and assessment. As I guess, it's based on entrepreneurship education as well, young and adult learners, as we know, all lifelong learning activities. Oh yes, I saw something. Miss Seho? No.
There's light in the room.
Yes, there is a light. If it's not a ghost. You know, there's a phrase in Turkey. If you see light, don't worry about anything. By the way, all attendees.
But she's also in 2 spots according to the panel, the participant. Okay, now now you see her, yeah.
I couldn't hear because of the technical problem.
Need to unmute.
Oh yes, unmute.
Can you unmute at your end?
Miss Sehovic?
Is she speaking?
No. Sabina? No. No. We have an attendee, one of my colleagues, Semra Basharan. Semra, would you like to ask something to the panelists, or do you have an idea to share with us about experiential learning? Semra? Maybe she's...
Hojam, I'm afraid she's an attendee, therefore she cannot speak to us now. Perhaps she can say something on the chat box though.
I see. Yeah. Therefore, I opened the way to all, just a moment, to attendees. I'm writing, just a moment.
She's raising her hand though, Hojam.
Where? Oh.
Semra Hoca is raising her hand.
I can't see. Ah, yes.
Yes, okay.
I saw.
If you unmute, she will speak.
I think she doesn't have any equipment. Microphone.
May I ask Zeynep and Bahar?
Oh, yes.
Sure, please.
I may have missed who were the participants? What were their background in the workshop?
Oh, yeah. Okay, it was a very short information we gave. You're right. Let me repeat it. So we have 30 participants, but only 12 of them were regular participants. So the rest came on and off. And majorly, they are creative drama teachers. So they are teaching creative drama majorly. But we have several students and one primary teacher and one English teacher in our group.
Interestingly, most or almost all of the women.
We were all women. It turned out to be a women's study as well. It wasn't our intention at all. We were just encouraging our male friends to participate. But as I told you, there was only one man, and eventually he just joined only one workshop, then he left too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot too.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sriskandarajah, what about the Danish experiences? I mean, could you have more information? Do you have more information about Danish experiences? Could you share what kind of experiences?
The model comes from the work that was done by a special pedagogic unit at Copenhagen University. And I worked.
Oh, we lost.
There for 7 years as an associate professor in agriculture. 2 universities in Denmark beginning in the 80s, Aalborg University and Roskilde University.
I lost the connection. Are you hearing?
So we were very keen to expose undergraduate-based learning as the major way in which they would all undergraduate education, so that the model that you saw there was developed from 15 years of undergraduate preparatory courses in the first year for them to learn to work in groups and work through problem-solving activities.
Thank you.
The diagram comes from a recent publication, which is referenced in my slide, but I can give it to you. So these were done by the team that I was part of 10 years ago. Group projects in a problem-oriented setting. It's just a teacher's manual for
Mm-hmm.
designing curricula and project work, which is an essential component of university education in all Scandinavian countries, but to a large extent in Denmark at all levels.
How about the University of Jaffna? I mean, is it a medium-sized or
It was
big one?
It was completely the opposite. It's an entirely old-fashioned didactic way of teaching. So the students expressed how liberated they were to meet two different teachers from outside their system, giving them so much space and freedom to work in a different way. And the evaluation showed that they want this to be brought to other faculties in their university and perhaps to other universities.
Sure, sure.
I'm a product of that education. So I was brought out through experiential learning exposure in Australia. And so in a way, I'm taking some of this back to my homeland.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing valuable thoughts with us. There is a question from İlknur Dinç to all panelists, and specifically Zeynep Pamuk and Bahar Gürey. Can you read?
Yes, I'm reading.
Okay. Hello, I would like to address my question to Zeynep Pamuk and Bahar Gürey. Did you find any chance to work on specific theory in your workshops as Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Freire or Forum Theater by Augusto Boal? If yes, how was your experiences? She said.
Thanks a lot, dear İlknur Dinç, for this beautiful question. But we didn't use these specific two models or theories in our workshops. We have some superficial knowledge about Augusto Boal and Freire, but we didn't have a chance to apply them into our workshops. But we specifically use Jeu Dramatique because Bahar is the founder and the representative of Jeu Dramatique Turkey. So we used this technique a lot, and we used creative drama techniques as well, like very simple 2-3 paired role plays and a problem solution and everyday challenges during the pandemic we are exposing to and how to deal with them. So people were like talking to each other, but they didn't take a role, like in Forum Theater, for instance. They didn't step into a role to find out a solution specifically for that problem, I can say. It was more of an expression afterwards and talking about the short role play the participants were kind of staging. But other than that, we didn't use these specific techniques, theories, but that's a great opportunity actually. Perhaps it can be an opportunity and a good idea for us to implement more next time on these two theories as well. Thanks a lot, İlknur. Hocam, İlknur hocam.
I can also make a remark that matter.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was also in my own transformation, not long after my PhD education as a scientist, when I was influenced by Freire and Pedagogy of the Oppressed. So the time when I was seeking out experiential education, it was very important for me. And I work with role plays in my classrooms. And
great.
Lately, I'm also working with a theater action group who are, of course, coming from Boal's arena. So I'm also learning and become meaningful in the performance area in community level. At the moment, it has only been in classroom in limited ways.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. As I have stated before, Ms. Sehovic sent a message for us. As she explained, she got her link too late to prepare and didn't see the first part of session, working in improvised conditions, no camera on library computer, and weak micro on additional computer.
Oh, what a shame.
Thank you for the information, and I already informed the participants and panelists about what kind of a paper was about. I hope that I hope it's okay by now. And time is over. Thank you for participating, and thank you for enlightening all attendees and me as well. Thank you for sharing with such a great works, and best regards to all attendees and all panelists. Thank you so much. I'm so pleased to know you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerim Hocam.
Thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
appreciate the
Bye-bye.
comments and questions
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
and your chairmanship.
Regards to Istanbul, Ankara, Sri Lanka, and London.
London.
London, yes.
Thank you.
Hocam, likewise, I just feel the same way. It's a pleasure to meet you and Nadarajah, Hocam, Professor Nadarajah. Thanks a lot. I feel privileged to be here, to be sharing the same platform with you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.